Today we're going to take a look at the chemistry behind how slimes work. If you've ever wondered why some glues make better slimes than others, and can you make slimes with different types of glues, this will explain a little bit more why slimes work and the chemistry of why they're working. So we're going to work with two solutions today. All slimes are based on the same two solutions. The first solution that we're going to make, I'm going to actually make it from scratch from 20 Mule Team Borax Detergent Booster Powder. It's a powdered laundry booster that you buy at the grocery store under the brand name 20 Mule Team. And it contains a borax molecule in there that contains the element boron, which is number 5 on the periodic table. To make a slime, you need to have some sort of boron molecule in there somewhere. And the 20 Mule Team soap works pretty good for that. We're going to have to mix it with water to make a solution so that these two solutions can mix. You can use other things. So pretty popular, the contact lens cleaning solution contains a borate molecule in it, I believe, which has boron in it. You also see it in Tide laundry soaps or other branded laundry soaps. If you look at the ingredients list, any kind of boron or borax molecule, something with that bor at the beginning of it, it'll tell you if it's got the boron atoms in there that you need. It's the boron that ties everything all together. So if you don't have any boron, you're not going to be able to make a slime. So once I've mixed this up, I've actually made a pretty strong solution. It doesn't really matter if there's powder at the bottom. So this actually has powder at the bottom. The water is going to take up as much of the laundry soap as it can, and it will be a saturated solution. You could actually heat the solution to force it to take in more, but you don't really need to do that for slime. Then the other ingredient we're going to use is just kind of a clear craft glue. Again, this brand was Craft Smart, and I believe I got it at Michael's. You can use any kind of craft glue, even if it's not clear glue. For example, I have a jug here of Elmer's all-purpose white glue. I got that at Home Depot. You can get, a straight-up Elmer's craft glue at Michael's or a craft store. You can get it in little bottles. You can get big bottles. Any of those water-soluble, craft, safe for kids, non-toxic glues are good for making slimes. You have to keep in mind that there's a lot of different glues out there, and you don't want to use, say, a rubber cement because it's not a PVA-based glue. The chemical that is inside of this glue, that is the active ingredient, is polyvinyl alcohol, and it's abbreviated PVA. In the olden days, when I made slime with my classes, I would order the PVA as a powder and cook it on the stove with water to make a solution, and that's what I would take to class. You could always make slime out of white glue, but the clear stuff was harder to come by. You can actually buy PVA in a clear solution straight up from chemical supply companies already mixed up, and it's not glue, it's polyvinyl alcohol without the other stuff that makes glue, and that makes a pretty good slime as well. Some other things that have PVA in them, the face masks that you put on your skin and they dry and you peel them off, those are actually made out of glue, a mild form of glue, and they're full of PVA. PVA makes a great additive to glue because it's sticky and it likes to stick to stuff. So we're actually going to use the 20 Mule Team to do a thing called cross-linking. The boron atom in the 20 Mule Team is actually going to get in between the molecules of glue and hold them together in kind of a matrix. Now I want you to imagine spaghetti, uncooked spaghetti. If you took a handful of uncooked straight dry spaghetti and dropped it on the floor, you could gather it up and put it back into kind of an orderly straightness. But if you had cooked spaghetti and you dropped it on the floor, and you tried to pick it up and put it back into an orderly straightness, you really wouldn't be able to do that, because the pasta has changed its consistency. It sticks to itself. It's all tangled up with itself, and that's what we're doing to this glue. Now, you can do this directly with straight up glue, and I find with clear glue often it works pretty good. You can also cut the glue with some water. This will probably give you a little bit of a thinner slime, quicker slime. One thing that I experience when I make up my own borax cross-linker is that I tend to end up with a slime that's a little bit too hard, because there's a lot of boron in here. For every eyedropper full of liquid or boron solution, I'm adding a lot of boron to this container. So this isn't really a lesson on how to make the best slime. This is really a lesson on why slimes work in the first place. And this is just kind of a quick and dirty. So it's a good idea to add in your slime cross-linker a little bit more slowly. And as you stir, you're going to find that it's going to start to gum up really quite quickly. So here is our immediate chemical reaction. And when you're working with glue, sometimes you end up with clogs of glue or bits of glue that are inside of this that haven't reacted. So the more aggressive you are with your stirring, the more likely you are to break up those clots. The other thing is, working with slime, you can stir it to a certain extent and get it to a certain point, but really working it in your hands is, you're going to come to a point where you need to work it in your hands, because your hands are going to give it enough kinetic energy and move those molecules around so they all react with each other, or they react with each other more efficiently. So we're looking at a big glob of this stuff. There's probably unreacted glue in the center of it there somewhere that I can't really get to with this stirring stick. You know, I can stab it and poke it around, but I may not get everything in the inside. So I have this cup was pretty full, and I have some unreacted glue down on the bottom, but I'm just going to set that aside and work with this. So here we have a nice clear slime, and it is, oop, it's squirting. It is a little bit sticky still, so I'm going to do that. Just a note, when you work with kids and slime, some kids really like the slime. The texture of the slime is fun, and they like to work it in their hands, but you do run into kids who do not like the feel of slime. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to put it in their hands, which is fine. They don't need to. Those kids are probably not ever going to be wanting to pick it up. They can just keep on working with it with their stick. Or they, you know, I run summer camps, and kids who don't really like the slime, you know, we don't force them to stick their hands in it, but it's still an interesting chemical reaction that they like to watch, and it's okay handling it typically with the stick, but putting it in their hands is not so hot. So this slime has turned out to be kind of breaky and fragile, probably because I had a lot of cross-linker in it. Now there are some solutions to this. Chemistry solution straight up is the addition of the magic solution, vinegar. So this is white vinegar. Any vinegar will work. Vinegar breaks those cross bonds of the boron with your glue molecules. And if you end up with a slime that is not the texture that you want, you can actually put it in a dish or a cup and put the vinegar on it and let it set for a little bit. You don't want to leave it too long, because it will eventually just dissolve your slime. And that is a solution for if you have a slime that is, say, stuck at a carpet or stuck in hair or stuck in clothing. You can soak that in vinegar. You probably want to soak it in a white vinegar. You don't really want a red wine stain on top of your slime stain in your white carpet. Nobody wants that. But the white vinegar will break up the molecular bonds a little bit and give you a softer slime. Now, ideally, I would take this slime and put it back in its cup, except my cup's not empty, with a little bit of that vinegar, and just let it sit for a little while. And eventually, it will be better than it currently is. It'll become less breaky, more slimy. The other thing that you can do that is not really a chemistry fix is that you can add things to it. So some pretty common additives, and this is a physical fix or physical modification, not a chemistry one, not a chemical bond one, is you can add shaving cream. Any shaving cream will do. You have to be aware if you don't like the smell of the shaving cream, you can get an unscented one. Anything you add into the slime is going to be a part of the slime, including the scent of the shaving cream. The other thing that you can add into this is a hand lotion, typically a pump hand lotion, and you can work it around. You will modify the color of your slime, you will modify the texture, which is what you're trying to do because the slime is too stiff, and you will modify the smell of the slime. So a lot of the slimes online, they get special names and they do special things and they do a little swirl thing with it and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's not always as easy as you might think to whip up a batch of slime using the exact same recipe as the person used in the video and get the exact same results. So some of the things that affect your results are going to be your ambient humidity in the region where you live. So if you live in a dry atmosphere or a wet atmosphere, that is going to affect any chemical reaction, where water is kind of a major constituent of the reaction, but other reactions as well. Also, what brand of product that you're using. When they say use a clear glue, you are using Craft Smart glue, which is an off-brand, or you're using, the name brand glue. Are you using a glue that has things added to it? You can get special slime glues that already have glitter in them and such. And it's just that's all gonna make it a little bit different. Not all of those glues have the exact same formula. And again, I warn you not to use a glue that is not polyvinyl alcohol glue based. You want one that is labeled as a craft glue for kids. It's non-toxic, that you buy at the craft store. You don't want something crazy off the wall at Home Depot. Although that big jug did come from Home Depot. The best price in terms of large amounts of craft glue, especially if you're working with a camp of kids or a classroom of kids, is that big jug from Home Depot. You can find it for about the same price at Michael's when it's on sale, but when it's not on sale, they're about $25 a jug. The one from Home Depot, it was more around $20, and you can get a lot out of that. The white glue especially does better if you cut it half and half with water, and if you're trying to stretch your educational dime, mixing with water can make things last quite a bit longer, but it also makes a nicer slime, a weaker slime that is more malleable. Again, this one is still pretty stiff, and if I take this and leave it in a container overnight, it's a little bit cloudy right now. Tomorrow, it'll actually probably be crystal clear, except for the food coloring that maybe it pulled off my hand from my previous experiment. The other thing is, before you work with a slime or make a slime or put it in your hands, you should wash your hands. And it's not because your slime might catch coronavirus. That's not why. Well, it's part of it. It's because the dirt in your hands and any bacteria in your hands and any mold spores on your hands, which are all very common, are going to get picked up by the slime. And you will find after you work your slime for a while, your hands are a lot cleaner, very clean. It's because they've all been caught up in between the molecular noodles inside this slime. So it's very good to wash your hands really well. The storage of your slime, sometimes slime will pick up a mold. Put it away dirty, leave it in a warm room, in a closed container, it'll start to grow stuff or grow bacteria. It'll become a bacterial or a mold growing kind of fiend. One additive that is often suggested is in slimes is baking soda. The most I could find about the purpose of the baking soda was to make the slime a little bit stiffer. I have not found that is exactly so, but I do believe adding the baking soda is going to reduce your bacterial load. It's going to make it a less friendly medium for things to grow in. It's a base, and it changes the pH or the inviting nature of the slime, and make it a little harder for those critters to grow in there. The other thing that you can do, theoretically, you could store your containers in the refrigerator, which would slow anything down, but it would take a while for it to warm up enough and be soft enough for you to play with. Anyways, I hope that helps you a little bit with the chemistry of slime, and may the slime be with you.